All right, good afternoon, students. My name is Jill Gardosic, and I am the internship coordinator in the Career Services and Employer Relations Office at Framingham State University. Please know that this afternoon's presentation is in fact being recorded. The hope is that this presentation, we're going to share a link of it on our website eventually. So if you want to refer back to it, or if you think another classmate of yours might benefit from seeing some of this information and accessing this information, it'll be visible and accessible to folks on our website, and I believe on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you for joining me today. My co-host is one of our wonderful career counselors that you all know, Sarah Falber. So there's Sarah. Excellent. What we're going to do is I plan to spend the next 20 to 25 minutes providing you with some tips. If you are hopefully a graduating senior, we're going to talk about some job search strategies that I have for you. And then we're going to leave some time at the end for questions and answers if you have any on what we cover in the presentation today, or if there's just additional questions that you might have. So let's get started. As soon as I figure out how to advance my slides, we'll be off and running. All right, so here is our agenda for today. I want to cover the job search process. It really just boils down to, I think, 3 steps, and we're going to cover each of those steps in a little more detail, being research, preparation, and strategy. Then I want to spend a little bit of time speaking about how the amount of time, effort, and your attitude, your mental outlook and attitude in your process is what helps you find positions that are appropriate for you and find them as fast as possible. I'm going to review the services offered by my office, both with career counselors and electronic. And then I have a few last minute reminders before we wrap up and go into questions and answers this afternoon. So I just want to talk a little bit about the job search in terms of it being a process. All too often when I'm speaking with students one-on-one, they just want to hit the pavement. They're so excited. They're ready to go. They just want to start searching. And I like to have a conversation with students to make sure they are, in fact, sufficiently ready before they begin their search. So what you really want to do is you want to spend a significant amount of time conducting some research, and we're going to go into that into a little more detail. So that way you have some clear objectives and goals that you want to set for your job search. Then I'm going to talk about all the different pieces of preparation you need to handle and how career services can assist you with these particular items. And after you've completed your research, after you've completed your preparation, that's when you really are, in fact, ready to begin searching for positions. And that's where strategy comes into play. And I have some tips and tools to help you strategize during your job search process. So when I say the word research, there are different components of your career that you really want to consider. And I'm going to break that down into different groupings, being occupations, work environments, and companies. So the best example that I have to describe an occupation or like an occupational field is to understand that you have been preparing through your academic journey at Framingham State University to enter an occupational field. And there are many different occupations housed within a field. So for instance, you might be a criminology major and you're interested in the field of law enforcement. Contained in law enforcement are many different occupations. You might be a police officer in the Framingham Police Department. You might be a state police officer for the Commonwealth. You may decide to be a forensic analyst. You may decide to be in Customs and Border Control, DEA. You might decide to be an investigator. Maybe you decide to go into loss prevention or security of some kind. So there are several different types of occupations all within that field. Something to keep in mind is also the type of work environment you are interested in. So for example, if we stay with my criminology example, if we're talking about law enforcement, it's going to be very different in your day-to-day work life, your day-to-day duties, what you do if you're working for a town police department versus whether or not you're working for a private security company somewhere. So you want to kind of keep that in mind. What does your work environment look like to you? Are you envisioning a traditional office setting? Are you envisioning an environment where there's some level of travel involved and you may be in your car going to different locations throughout each day or throughout the week? Or given the new work environment that many of ourselves find ourselves in right now, being remote working, do you feel comfortable, or is there something that you are now considering, a position that may offer some flexibility where you're working remotely from home in addition to going into like a physical office setting or something like that? And then finally, you also want to think about the type of, not so much the type of company that you go to work for, which I think is important, but I think what I meant a little bit more than companies even is thinking about work sectors. There are 3 work sectors where you can do your work. You might be at a private organization, and private companies, they're also known as for-profit companies. They make, sell, distribute, manufacture goods or services to create a profit, to make money. So if you think back to the FSU campus, some local companies that are for profit that might come to mind easily are Staples, TJX, Bose, the MathWorks, so on and so forth. Again, they make, buy, manufacture, distribute, sell something for a profit. So are you going to work in the private sector? If you're going to work in the nonprofit sector, you're going to work at an organization that provides a service to the community. And these are organizations that are not out to create the most amount of revenue or the most amount of profit by selling something or providing a service. They're just simply providing services to the community. So there's going to be big differences between your role in each of those work sectors because your resources are going to be different. Your staffing levels are going to be different. The organizational structure is going to be different. And then the third and final sector is the government, whether you work at the local, the state, or the federal level. So you may be interested again in a law enforcement career, but if you're working in the private sector doing security for, say, a pharmaceutical manufacturing company like Biogen or something like that, and you're securing their campus, that day-to-day role is going to be very different than what you would anticipate if you're going into law enforcement at a nonprofit agency or if you're going to work for the government. So you want to spend some time understanding each of these different items that are going to have an impact on what your job looks like day to day. Once you've conducted your research, now you can start to sufficiently prepare for your job search. I'm going to cover some items you want to make sure you have completed before you start searching. The job search process you know, we hear from students all the time, can be a little anxiety producing, you can be a little nervous, and it's because you're just so excited because you found these great opportunities that you want to apply to, for these jobs that you're excited about, these careers that you want to begin. And what you don't want to have happen is you see the perfect job posting, or you hear about the perfect job posting from a friend or a relative, and then you don't have the necessary physical pieces to apply to that position as quickly as possible to get to the top of the pile, so to speak. I'm sure everyone is familiar at this point that you're going to need to have a resume. Maybe you created a resume on your own for some part-time positions or volunteer positions that you've held throughout your academic career. Maybe you even had to write a resume for a homework assignment, a class assignment while you've been at Framingham State. Our recommendation is, even though you have written that resume, maybe it was a few years ago, maybe it doesn't have your most recent education skills and experience on it, it never hurts to have someone on our staff look it over. Not only can we help with the, what I call the easy things, the typos, the grammatical errors, the spelling errors that we can catch, our staff is trained to help you determine the best content to include and how to organize it to best market yourself. Because at the end of the day, a resume is in fact a marketing document to market you to the positions that are of interest to you. Something else you're going to need to prepare for ahead of time is you want to make sure you understand how to write a cover letter, which might be new to you. And I can't stress this enough. We want you to understand that you're going to need to write multiple cover letters. One cover letter does not fit all positions. If you've ever attended one of our earlier virtual or in-person presentations, our career counseling staff often talks about the need to tailor your resume and your cover letter to each position. So what do I mean by that? Here's a brief example. You may find 3 different job postings for a staff accountant. Maybe you're an accounting major and you're looking for that entry-level role right out of school because you're graduating as a staff accountant. However, at the first company that you look at, they're interested in someone that has Microsoft Excel skills. When you look at the second job posting, they're interested in someone that has Microsoft Access skills. And then when you look at the third company, they're interested in someone that's familiar with MAS 220 software. So when you write a cover letter to your first company and they are looking for someone that has Microsoft Excel skills, you want to play up and talk about Microsoft Excel if you have that experience in your background. That same cover letter wouldn't be as strongly viewed, if you will, by the other organizations, because in the second company, they use Microsoft Access. What do they really care about Microsoft Excel? You may not be using it to the extent you're going to use Microsoft Access. You may not use it at all. So you don't want to talk about skills that they're not interested in. So when you go to write your second cover letter for the second company, instead of talking about all of your experience with Excel, you can focus on projects and experience that you have with Access. And then the same when you get to the third company, if they're specifically telling you that qualified candidates will have experience with MAS 220, you want to talk about how you have experience with MAS 220. So it's critical to understand you rewrite your cover letter for every position you apply to. You want to be comfortable writing multiple versions of cover letters. Of course, you're going to need your self-marketing pitch, your 30-second commercial, your elevator pitch. Those are all interchangeable words. It's how you succinctly and concisely introduce yourself to someone. Of course, we always talk about the comfort level and the confidence you want to build when answering interview questions. And oftentimes, because you don't have 20 years of experience in your career, you can't have a technical interview at this point. Many entry-level roles always include behavioral-based interview questions. There's over 60 years of research now that tells us the best predictor of someone's future performance is based on their past behavior. So if you were someone that is naturally cool, calm, and collected in a crisis, the next time a crisis occurs, your instinct, your reaction, your behavior will be cool, calm, and collected again. That's why some individuals, it's easy for them to transition into roles of, police officers and firefighters and EMT drivers, because they're not rattled as easily. Again, they can be cool and calm and logical and strategic in a crisis, where other folks may be running in the opposite direction because that isn't where their strengths lie. So you want to make sure that you have tackled and prepared sufficiently for all of these different items, in addition to making sure you have an interview outfit ready to go. And again, I know at the moment, due to the nature of the workforce working a lot remotely at the moment due to the COVID-19 situation, there's a lot of interviewing now that's being done virtually through Skype, Zoom, FaceTime, and other tools. You still need to make sure that you are presenting a professional image, that makes a difference as to what's behind you, if there's sound in the background that needs to be minimized. And again, what you're wearing, you're in professional clothes. You're not in pajamas or a sweatshirt or anything that you wouldn't go to a face-to-face interview with. This shows your maturity level and your preparedness to the interviewer and the interview team. And again, this is before all of these steps, these preparation steps. You want to have checked these boxes before you start searching. One of the ones that I like to talk about with students a lot, and I'd be more than happy to discuss with students individually, you want to think about who you're going to ask permission of to serve as professional references for you. And the reason why I think it's important to understand you need to ask permission of individuals is, right, life can be, as we're learning, a bit challenging at times for a variety of reasons. And you want to respect the individual's time and ability to be able to provide a great reference for you. As you know, with faculty in particular, they might be on sabbatical, so they could be off in another country next semester, conducting research. They could be in a remote location where they don't have access easily to internet and things like that. So that individual may not be the best person to serve as a reference. Not that they wouldn't give you a good reference, not that they don't have a good relationship with you, but the timing may not work right. You also may have a faculty member who is pregnant and is going to go out on maternity leave, and they're not going to have the time in their schedule to devote to providing you sufficient references in a timely fashion. So those are just some brief examples of why you want to ask permission. You want the other individual to be able to have the time and availability to devote to giving you a good reference. And then lastly, you want to think about how you can craft personalized thank you notes. We say this all the time when you're interviewing, whether that's on the phone, virtually, or in person. Every individual that interviews you, if it's one person or multiple people, you want to be able to write thank you notes to every person that conducts an interview with you. And here is one of my little tips to help you with that process. Remember, anytime that you're interviewing, it's okay to have a pen and paper handy. And something that I recommend students do is when you write down your questions that you're going to ask your interviewer. That gives you an opportunity to make notes about which individuals, if say 2 people are conducting your interview, say there's a manager and a director, you can write down, you know, manager Sally talked about the culture of the company. You know, director Bobby talked about the tasks I'm going to work on. You can make little notes to yourself so that way at the end of your interview, when you're writing out those thank you notes, you can reference something specific that you discussed with each individual. Okay. And after that preparation, so you've conducted your research on occupations and companies and work environments, you've prepared, you've got your outfit, your resume, your cover letter. Now you are ready to implement some strategy. Now you are ready to begin your job search. And we recommend a multi-strategy approach. So one of the things I know students do when they're job searching is they look online. I'd like to recommend that you make a part of your online search by using our school's job board, which we call Handshake. Every single solitary student has an account. You can easily find the link to Handshake by visiting the Career Services page on the FSU website. And Handshake has some real strong benefits to students. How it's different from Indeed, Monster, Career Builder, Eric's Jobs, or another search platform. The only way you can use Handshake is if you are in fact a student or a recent alum of Framingham State University. The organizations that are posting their positions on Handshake visible to Framingham State students and alumni are actively trying to find you. So why not try to work with an organization that's already searching for you? Another great benefit of this particular tool is, remember, our university has been around since 1839. We have many, many alumni that are out working in the Metro West area and beyond. And oftentimes, if they've progressed in their career, they're now in a supervisory or a managerial role, and they're looking for staff for their offices. They come back and they want to partner with FSU because they're familiar with your classes and your programs and your faculty, the types of projects that you work on and the skills you have. And they're trying to seek out you. So if you're going to be searching online, why not try Handshake? 80 to 85% of all individuals usually end up finding their position through networking. So while you're going to be searching and applying to some positions online, always remember to continuously be in conversations with individuals. Think to yourself, who can I network with? How might they be helpful to me? And while you can network with anyone from family, friends, current or former roommates, your academic advisor, I personally believe the 2 best pools to network with are your faculty within your major and your classmates within your major. Here's why. If you have a faculty person that you have a good relationship with, you've taken several of their courses, let's say that faculty member has been teaching at Framingham State for the past 10 years. They are in a unique position where they have seen 10 years of their students go on and graduate and then enter the workforce. So if nothing else, by having a conversation with a faculty member, they may be able to share with you companies where their graduates have gone to work for. They may also have kept in touch with some of those alumni because several years after a student graduates, they may decide to go on to graduate school and they're staying in contact with those faculty members for letters of recommendation and references and things of that nature. Or again, maybe they're looking for student interns. So those faculty members may be able to connect you to a Framingham State alum that has a similar skills and experience and background, and they're in the very companies that you're interested in. Another great group to connect with, again, would be your current classmates. They've got similar skills and interests. Maybe someone graduated a year ahead of you and they're out in the workforce now. Again, they may know of open positions that are of interest to you in some of the companies that you're interested in, okay? Another strategy would be attending events just like this one, a virtual presentation that our office is doing. We're also continuing to host our employer showcases. So if you go to the career services page of the FSU website, you'll be able to see when some of the local employer partners are going to be joining us on Zoom to talk about their positions and their openings at their organizations. And again, eventually we are going to get back to doing some in-person events. So I would keep bookmarked the career services page, so at the very least you can learn about all of our upcoming events, in addition to some that may be happening throughout the university and other companies that you might be interested in. So if you use a multitude of approaches, you'll be able to learn about open positionings from a variety of sources. I mentioned I was going to comment about how your time, effort, and attitude play a role in your job search. I know it can be frustrating if you're applying to positions and you're not hearing any feedback, but remember, when you were a student, you were a full-time student not too long ago, your main job every day was to go to class. When you weren't in class, you were expected to be doing readings, homework, research in the library, group projects, presentations, writing papers. The majority of your hours each week were devoted to school and scholarly work. Now that has shifted. Your full-time job is to find a job. So what I highly recommend is you want to lay out a plan for your week. Maybe Monday, it's to dust off that resume and edit it. Maybe it's to hop onto Starfish and schedule an appointment with a career counselor to get that resume reviewed. If there's something on your list for Monday that you can't check off, guess what? That becomes Tuesday's priority. You want to be focused every day for at least a portion of your day on your job search. Maybe one day you're going to update your LinkedIn profile. Maybe you're going to create a LinkedIn profile. Maybe you want to go through the closet, make sure you have an interview outfit at the ready to go, lined up for when that interview happens. Maybe you're going to connect with faculty to ask permission for them to serve as references. Whatever your goals are, you want to have goals for every week, and you want to be focused on completing those goals each day. And remember, it's all about effort. You want to continue searching and applying and interviewing for positions until an organization says, we'd love for you to start on Monday. This is your salary. These are your benefits. This is your title. An interview is not an offer. It's not an offer. What you don't want to do is get very excited if you apply to 10 jobs and you get one interview scheduled that you don't follow up on the other 9 positions that you applied to. You don't want to stop chasing those leads. You don't want to stop looking for new positions. Because at the end of the day, if a company has one job open and they receive 20 resumes, they can only hire one person. They have to decline 19 people. You don't know if you're going to be the one person that gets the offer that particular time, or if you're one of the 19 that is declined, and you don't want to have to start your search from scratch. So you want to continue searching even if you have 1, 2, or 3 interviews lined up. Even if those interviews move to a second round interview, you want to continue searching, continue applying, keep being persistent until an offer is made that you are in fact willing to accept. The last thing I want to comment about very briefly is oftentimes from students, I hear from they take this attitude, they take this idea, well, I have a job. I'm currently working part-time at a restaurant. I'm an Uber driver. I'm down at the grocery store. That's great. I don't think you spent 4 years to do that permanently. The more time you devote to that part-time gig, the less effort, time, and attention you're putting into finding your career. So just make sure that when you're balancing, that is not something that you want to spend a long time or a lot of focus on. You don't want to back burner your career search because you have a part-time job that's bringing in money. Basically, employers, the mark for them, the threshold for them is 6 months. If you have not found a position within your career field within 6 months, businesses start to get a little nervous. They're concerned that your skills might start to get rusty. Maybe you're not using PowerPoint every day. You're not in Excel every minute doing pivot tables and whatnot. So in order to keep moving in the right direction to get you employed as quickly as possible in the field that interests you, you want to make sure that your focus is not, okay, I have this little part-time gig. It's about getting you into the career of your choice. So I talked about many different things today, and I want to just reiterate, Career Services is open all summer like we normally are, except we're just virtual at the moment. You can hop onto Starfish and make an appointment with a career counselor to assist you with all of those preparation pieces, whether it's resume, cover letter, that 30-second commercial, your marketing pitch. If you want to practice your interview skills, we offer mock interviews. We can even review your LinkedIn profile with you. And if you're on the Career Services website, there's great electronic tools at the ready for you. You can connect to some career research tools such as Focus 2, the Occupational Outlook Network, which is referred to as ONET, MassCIS, which is the Massachusetts Career Information System, and something called the NAC. And there's even some interview prep tools that are there electronically. If you don't have time or you want to augment an appointment with a career counselor, we have access to some tools called the Vault and Career Spots, where you can see some little short videos on interview and interview prep. So again, feel free to pop on to Starfish to make an appointment with any of the career counseling staff. And like I said, I think one of the best things that you can do at the moment is make sure that you bookmark our webpage. That way you can take advantage of upcoming events that we may have, additional virtual presentations throughout the month of May and beyond. And again, we're bringing our employers to campus, so to speak, by hosting virtual employer showcases. So that concludes my presentation for today. I'm just going to open it up to questions and concerns that you may have. And remember, it could be that you might have a question about some topic I covered today, but feel free to ask questions about anything else as well. Going once, going twice. 3 times, just making sure. Feel free also, Again, maybe you don't have a question for myself or for Sarah right now, but you may have a question later on tonight or next week, or you know, something comes to you eventually as you're job searching. Just remember that we're always here to assist you. And again, we're reachable by phone, by email, and on Starfish. We'd be more than happy to meet with you. So thank you so much for joining our presentation today for graduating seniors. Helping you determine if you are in fact ready to job search. And we hope to interact with you now and in the future. Thank you so much for attending, everybody. Bye-bye.